Hey, bee folks, Ryan Williamson here at Sourwood Farm. It is a beautiful day, February 9th, I believe, here in Central Virginia, and bees are flying a little bit. I want to check in on the colony here that's got a unique situation going on. Last year, I had a bunch of dinks, and a friend of mine, Greg Rogers, taught me a new technique that I had never heard of, but it makes a lot of sense, and it worked fantastic for me last year. So I had some dinks in, I believe it was late February, early March, and the basic concept is pretty neat. You put your dink above a strong colony, and the way to help them out, if you can do like a double screen board to let the warmth come up, but it doesn't actually boost the weak colony. And these were colonies that were a little too weak for me to add brood to. They just didn't have the population. But what you do is you imagine a colony down here. We put a layer of newspaper and then a queen excluder. The bees slowly work through the newspaper, and the queen excluder reduces the queen pheromone transfer enough that the bees down here don't kill the young or the small colony up above with the queen. So that's something I did here, but much earlier. I did this in January rather than early spring, which was kind of an experiment to see how it worked. I went through this bee yard in January and found one colony that had, I think it was like one frame of bees. It was like super tiny. And it's like, hey, nothing to lose. Got a huge cold snap coming, and so I put that little one frame nuke up here. It was actually in a 10 frame box, and let's see how it's working out. I'm going to do my best to do this with one hand. This is going to be fun. So 2 days ago, I did some sugar feeding, this kind of sugar glop, and it looks like the bees are going to town eating that. That's great. I'll give a little smoke here to drive them down. Oh boy, this is going to be fun with one hand. So I'm going to try to move the sugar just on paper over here. There we go. That's working. And let's see what we see here. Let's pull. This seems like the heart of the colony. I had no idea if adding a little weak colony on top of a stronger colony in early January would be smart or bad. Like it could really weaken the colony down below, or I was expecting them to kill the queen. Oh, look at that. There she is, actually. You can see right there's the queen, and I see brood. Oh, that is great. I'm trying to hold the phone and catch the light so that y'all can see. And I think this is a success. The one element here where I probably botched it a little bit, and this is what made me think that it was not going to work out, was if you're adding a little tiny colony, you really need the brood nest to be in the upper box here, so that this brood is right next to that brood, and it's kind of the nurse bees kind of from down here will move up to help tend the brood up above. If the brood nest is down here in the very bottom box, and this is honey, and then we put the little tiny nuke up here, these bees up top might go, whoa, smells better down there, that queen's got better pheromones, whatever, and they might move down, abandon this little tiny dink and move down, and then this one dies. And at the same time, adding another box up top is giving more room for these bees to have to condition, and so it stresses out the lower colony as well. So, really could go south if the brood nest is down here, and then we have this honey here. The other downside is the moisture, right? So if we've got a brood nest here, all the moisture is kind of rising up, and then we can have a lot of condensation up top. But it seems like if the brood nests are up higher, they keep that lid warmer, and you don't get nearly as bad of condensation. And so what we're going to do now is gently slide this emergency feed to help that little dink out. There we go, and they can go to town with that. This is kind of a neat idea that I've been playing with. If you typically add like a sugar shim like this, I'm giving a lot of room that the bees have to condition, right? So they got to keep all of this area now warm, but there's no comb for them to be on. That just always struck me as a stressful deal for the bees. They can't be on comb, but they're still having to condition it. Sometimes early spring, you come in, if you've had like a little bit of nectar flow you didn't realize with the maple, and then they make a bunch of comb up here, and then that's a disaster too, right? So what I've been playing with the last few years is just reducing the amount of volume that the bees have to condition, and yet giving room for this emergency feed. And that's where we can then put the reflectix on first, then a shim. And so now that Reflectix is just kind of bowed up. It's off the frame, so the bees can take care of the top of the frames. Any condensation that happens up there will, the bees can suck it down and drink it, which is good for them. If there's a leak in my little cheap plywood lid, water runs off the corners because it's domed and doesn't go into the hive. That's good. And there's not much room for the bees to take care of. If they eat up that sugar I don't get back and there's a maple flow and they start making comb, that's not much burr comb to deal with. Just all in all, I think it works better. And so now we'll just put this lid back on and call that a success. Greg, I hope you get to see this, and we talked about it, and yeah, just really tickled that it actually worked out doing this neat technique in January rather than waiting until March. So I hope folks find that useful and interesting, and yeah, give it a whirl. It's a pretty neat technique. So again, we want strong colony with brood down here. We add a queen excluder with newspaper to slow the transfer, and then the dink goes up top, so it gets the warmth and nurse bees coming up, and if necessary, a little extra food, which was necessary for this colony. And yeah, it seems to be working. So hope y'all are out in the bees and enjoying spring weather that's coming. Catch you later. Bye.